Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I have the good fortune to be with Robert Indries from Elkridge Advisors. Robert, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Our pleasure. Let's go back in time. How did you get into the business in the first place?
Well, I was actually on another podcast of Patrick Rogers, the high performance CEO. It was a few years ago when he was holding that. And the podcast went on for like 40 minutes or more. Then we stayed on for another 20 minutes. And then we kept, talking, hopping on other calls. We sent business each other's ways. We did some projects. And then eventually he invited me to Elkridge because I have a track record in growing and scaling businesses. And he has a track record in M&A. So we just merged the two together into a wannabe PE firm. We're not as large as, the big players in the industry, but, we're getting there.
Well, congratulations. I think that may be the best podcast referral story ever.
Probably, yes. Well, so far we've made, hundreds of thousands of dollars together, so it's very fruitful.
Awesome. All right. So, what problem does Elkridge Advisors solve?
Well, we basically help individuals grow their wealth. So if you're a business, and you have an asset, you're sitting on it, this is something that, needs to be valued and you want to sell it, whether, when you're 40, 50, 60, it doesn't matter, but at some point you want to exit, right? So we come in and we help you do that. If you're not ready to exit, we prepare, we join forces and we prepare you. If you are ready to exit, we just buy outright, right? So we have about 200 million to spend right now, and we are looking to buy companies within the US. So anyone listening, if you guys know any companies that want to sell themselves, let us know because we're looking to buy. And then on the other side, we have people, raising their hands saying, hey guys, I see you guys get 50 to 100% returns on your investments year over year. How can I join? What can I do to be part of that? And so we get people on that side as well. But we're more interested in the businesses because we make our money growing them. So let's say we buy a $5 million business. In 2 years, we can get that to 10, 15 million. So we literally triple, the value, and then we exit or we keep. We typically buy to keep, like with real estate. We don't really buy to sell. I mean, eventually we'll also be 60, so maybe we'll look to exit, at one point. But right now, we're buying to keep.
Okay. What type of businesses are you looking for? Is there minimum revenue size, EBITDA, team members, industry? Tell me a little bit about who you're looking for.
Yeah. So we have 3 main criteria. Number 1, the business needs to be big enough to sustain scale, right? So what do I mean by that? If your business is doing, 80 grand a year in top line, right? And we make 20 grand in bottom line, there's very little we can do. And there's a lot we can do. We can take that to 150 million year 2, and then 300 year 3, and then, 500,000 year 4. And so we can double the company every month. The problem is the starting point. We don't want to start at 100 grand. We've done that. We've been entrepreneurial. I've had 11 companies of my own. I've already sold 4 of them. I don't want to do it again. Everyone knows how difficult that is, or most people have a good sense of how difficult that is. So you don't want to do it again. I'd rather, buy a 3, 4, 5, $20 million company. We just have something on the table that's 140 million, and we're genuinely considering it, right? And so would love to buy it. I don't know if they will sell. It depends on them. The multiple is very good, so we'll see. But basically, it's much easier then because I buy something that's, whatever, 5 million. Even if I grow it by just 20%, I add $1 million to my net worth in 1 year, right? But if I grow $100,000 company by 20%, I just added 20 grand.
And it's probably a lot more
Compared
work.
exactly, and it's more work, so it's not worth my time. So it needs to make a good, 6 figures in EBITDA for us to consider it. At that point, we might not yet look to buy because it's too small, and it might still be very, very dependent on you as the owner. So we might partner up. We might get some shares. We might come in, help you scale. And then when it gets big enough to where, it can demand, 3, 4, 5 million or 10 million in exit, you can let us know whenever you're ready to sell, and we'll just give you the rest of the money. By that time, it's not even a conversation because we're managing, we're owning, we know the value, we're growing it, and we tell you every year, okay, this year it's worth 2 million, next year it's worth 4 million, and so on. And we just tell you what it's worth, and if you want to exit, we can just give you the money, and we take full ownership from there.
You've worked with a wide range of businesses. What do you think separates companies that scale successfully from those that, don't get to where they're trying to go or plateau?
Well, I think companies that scale successfully understand that every issue in the company is a systemic issue. It's a core fundamental issue. You have not built a system around it, right? If anything that you do within your company, Seth, comes back to you, someone at some level didn't do what they were supposed to do. Hence, it came to me, right? As an owner, you need to understand that if any day-to-day item comes to you, it is not yet an asset. It's still a glorified job of some sort, right? I mean, you can find a lot of happiness. Let's say we have companies where the owner stays on, but they stay on as just an engineer, right? They just made millions of dollars, but they like to be an engineer, right? And so they just keep an engineering job, and we just keep them on as an engineer. Another example recently, there was a couple. They're doing web development. So he was doing the tech, and she was doing the designs. And after selling, they keep those roles because they still want to do tech and design, right? And so you can still do whatever you want to do, but the business shouldn't depend on you being there. If you take off for 6 months, the business should still operate perfectly well without you being there. So that is the difference.
That makes a lot of sense. What are some of the most common blind spots you see founders struggling with?
Um, Typically it's themselves. Like you that's why it's called a blind spot. You don't see it, right? So you yourself cannot see it. That's why you need other people to come in and help. Because guess what? If let's say you have a $500,000 company, but you've been at 500,000 for like 4 years. If you would have known what to do to turn it into a $5 million company, you probably would have done it already. But if you haven't, that means you don't know, right? Or you're not willing to do the work or whatever. In either case, and by the way, we're not here to point fingers. You've probably done great until now, and you've grown, you've become rich, blah, blah, right? You don't need to, you have a moat around your family, you're great. What we're saying is if you want to scale way beyond yourself, you need to have someone from the outside either do the work or tell you what you need to do, or both. Sometimes it's both, right? And so was the biggest blind spot, yourself, like your own thoughts and beliefs about what should happen.
That makes a lot of sense. When you step in, when you're looking at a company for the first time, after you've decided you're interested in taking a position, what are like the first three things you analyze?
We always analyze the financials, then legal, then operational, in this order always. And so on the financial side, we like to analyze quality of earnings, to see if clients stay with you or if they are just, they signed up last year and that's it. They stay with you for a month or two and then left. And various other items that make it very clear whether this has a legacy, this has legs, this has goodwill baked into it, etc. So that's what we do, and that presumes many items. Then on the legal side, we want to make sure there are no lawsuits, no they don't owe anyone money that, is not on the balance sheet, etc. And then they have good contracts, with their vendors, contractors, clients, and so on. And on the operational side, we look for, again, key person dependence in certain roles. See what person, if we remove that person, the entire flow just breaks up and, like it can't function anymore without them, or it functions very poorly without them.
Then let's say, can you give us an example? And if the client identity is confidential, you can just call it ABC Incorporated. But let's say a $2 to $10 million company, what their issues were when you found them, how you were kind of
Hmm.
able to help, and then kind of what that looks like now.
Good point. So there is a company that grew for 20 years. In 20 years, they got to 20 million. So I'm going a bit above because this is very relevant. So it's by all standards, it's amazing. You took 20 years of your life and you built a $20 million company. Statistically speaking, no one does that. Like literally 0.000 whatever percent get to 20 million, in a lifetime. So they were there. Then they were hit by COVID, like many entities, and they came to us because they said, "I don't know what to do." Right? Like I'm at my wit's end. It's not easy, right? And we believe them, and we understand, and we resonate. We know how much work it is to build a company and to keep growing it year over year. But basically, they came to us and said, "I need support. I want to grow faster. I want to grow more. I want to do more, but I don't want to keep doing it alone." So then we came in, we started, doing all of their tech and all of their marketing for them. And then, so it took them 20 years to get to 20 million. And we got them from 20 million to almost 50 million in 4 years,
Wow.
right? And then they sold for 38 million total. So they were very, very happy. 50 million was top line, not the EBITDA, right? So they sold multiple of EBITDA, which was 38. So it was amazing. They bought themselves houses in France and in various parts of Europe, and they invited us on a yacht tour, right? All paid by them, five-star hotels and so on. It was very, very nice. My wife was a little bit upset with them that they didn't give us an apartment or something at least, or whatever. But they're like, well, I mean, you need to understand the deal was different. Like we had a different deal, we got paid, for the service and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they kept, the lion's share of the 98 million. Yeah.
Who makes an ideal partner for Elkridge? Are there complementary service providers that you like collaborating with?
Uh, well, we can work very well potentially with people within the marketing space because they grow companies all the time, right? So they took on a company, 2, 3 years ago. They're at 5 million, they grew to 10, and now they're looking to exit. So marketing agencies can come to us and say, "Hey, my client is ready to exit." And guess what? If you're the one that grew them to that much, we have no intention of removing you. We'll just keep you on, as the marketing retainer, and we just buy the company from them, take it off their hands. So that's one example. But basically, anyone that deals with companies that want to potentially sell now or in the future, exit planners, business consultants, anyone that, grows and scales businesses.
That makes a lot of sense. If you could give one piece of advice to the business owners listening, what would it be?
Um, Find someone that you resonate with that can come in and show you what you don't see and help you get surpass your blind spots, right? Your question about blind spots was very, very on point. That is the problem. You have the definition of a blind spot is you cannot see it. You cannot expect yourself to be aware of it if it's a blind spot. So you need someone else to tell you. And you don't need to come to us. Go to anyone you want, but find someone you can resonate with that will tell you, here's the gap in your marketing, here's the gap in your HR, here's the gap in your finances, and work with those people to make improvements.
You've helped so many businesses grow. What's your biggest challenge now?
Our biggest challenge is finding enough healthy companies that want to sell themselves, or, companies that have humble enough owners to not request a 10x EBITDA when industry standard is five. It's like I can show you 100 other companies that were sold in the last few years, all of them had a 5x EBITDA. Why would I give you 10, Or if it's a smaller company, they have 3x EBITDA or 2.5, right? But they want 5. And like, that's not like I won't pay that because it's not normal for me. Like, I need to spend my money wisely. And the only way I can do that is if I make a return. If you're asking me for, double or even 50% beyond market value, then it'll take me double the amount of time to make a return. And, I'm just not interested in those conversations.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
Well, I am an engineer by trade, so I don't like the limelight or doing even podcasts for me are a big thing. I have my partner do these typically, but I just like crunching numbers, making sure everything works, looking at the organization and finding ways to optimize, to improve, so on. So I just nitpick at stuff and find better ways of doing things, cheaper, more effective. So that's what I enjoy most.
Awesome. This has been Seth Greene with Robert Indries from Elkridge Advisors. You can check him out at elkridgeadvisors.com. Robert, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you again for the invite.
Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.